Happy weekend, everybody. And as if you didn't need more time sitting around the house listening to whatever it is that you're listening to, this weekend is the last weekend of 2024. And it's a big one here because we're going to be doing a week ahead and Dynasty check-in with Mark Camero. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast, a sports ethos presentation hosted by yours truly, Aaron Bruski. And like I said in the open, we have Mark Camero of Sports Ethos, our Dynasty guru. We're going to look at all things week ahead. And get a little nostalgic over here. This year's about to end. I believe I have another episode before the end of the year. I don't know, but we'll look at the calendar here on our own time. But yeah, we want to keep rolling ahead in our fantasy leagues. So we will do the week ahead. We'll do the Dynasty check-in. It'll be a lot of fun. And before we do all of that, let's say hello to Bet Online. They continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and a number one source for online betting with the earliest odds and in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Mark, how are you doing? How are the holidays treating you?
I'm doing good. Holidays were pretty good. Just some time to relax with the family, and then also spend some time starting some prospect scouting, which has been last year. I kind of crammed all that into March, April, and May before the draft, which was a little chaotic and very time consuming. So I'm trying to get a bit of a jump start on this year, and it's been good getting a leg up on this 2025 draft class already.
Let's spend like a minute here on just like your process. Like, I think process is so important, and we don't really do as much on process as we should. In the middle of the year, there's just so much stuff to talk about. But like, what's it like? What do you do to like set up your learning of all these prospects at this time of year? What's it all about?
Well, some of it does come with an acknowledgement that I do focus on the NBA more. I obviously care about the prospects, but I focus more on the NBA. So in terms of overall big board, I'll kind of start with the big names and borrow from analysts or draft scouts and experts that I trust more. And then I'll just dive into the film to start writing up notes in a Google Doc, write pros, cons, and I kind of form the full picture. Shooting stats, though, I could care less about. It's been like 10 games for these prospects. I, I care about like maybe the volume of shots per game, but I could care less if someone's shooting 30 versus 43% in this sample. And I like that you asked about that. I'm actually going to touch on that on the pun intended pod later this week on Monday when that drops.
Yeah,
About the process a little bit.
Yeah, and Dynasty is such a big growing segment of what we do in fantasy sports. So you got to check out Punt Intended, hosted by Mark Camero. And how often are you releasing that? Is that every 2 weeks? Am I right
Every
on
week.
that? Every week. Okay. Gosh, man, my brain. So check that pod out, get subscribed. If you want to know about the next best thing that's happening, that's where you start. Dynasty experts really are on the cusp of a lot of great things in the fantasy analyst world. So check out that. And then you also did a rankings update.
Yes, that dropped earlier. We'll say earlier this month. So you get blurbs with that. You get rank changes from previous. That's going to be all for top 350. So you don't not only get the rankings, not only get rank changes, not only get the tiers that these players are in. So tiers being okay, these players are somewhat similar based on age or production now, win now versus potential versus growth. But you get little blurbs too for each of those 350 players. So that gives you a little bit of insight of why a player might be ranked where they're at.
I love those. When I'm doing the Bruski 150, and I would say the Bruski 150 that I released in season is still probably got at least another week or two of relevancy if you're capable of looking at names and being like, okay, this goes here, this goes there, based on recent news. So go check that out. But like the blurbs, the little player blurbs, to me is always the best part because you've done all this research and you're really deep into the knowledge, and you can just say like the coolest little piece of analysis in about like 10, 20 words. And what I found going back and reading all of those is that like those might be worth the price of admission alone. That just the little blurbs there. So I'm glad you're doing that. And folks, this is a massive heavy lift. Anybody who's really done rankings knows how hard this is because you're pouring over so much. And then you get to the point where you're actually you're slotting guys in up and down. And it's just a total freaking brain bender of an exercise. So much props to you, sir. Check it out. NBA Pass subscribers get the whole thing. Some of that's hanging out there for free, as is the case with most of our stuff here. So check that out. All right, let's get into the week ahead here. So just some real kind of broad fence posts here. We have 13 teams with 4 games. We have 16 teams with 3 games. So a pretty even distribution here. We got one team with 2 games. That's Phoenix. Down with them. Low traffic days. We have 5 or fewer games per slate. None of the days has that, but we have 3 days with 6 games: Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And what we've been able to identify is that there are 3 teams who really got it good this week. That's the Lakers, the Thunder, and the Celtics. And they've got 3 low traffic day games: Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So we'll spend some time with them trying to figure out some streamers. And then you also have the Clippers, the Bucks, Pacers, and Wolves, who have low traffic day games on Tuesday and Thursday. I don't think low traffic day games. I don't know if that even makes sense. They're playing on days that are good for streaming, Tuesday and Thursday. So those are the teams we're going to really look at some streamer action here for. And then we'll get to some Dynasty talk. So let's start with the teams that where the going is really good. Let's go Lakers, Thunder, and Celtics. On the Lakers side, who stands out to you as streamer worthy right now?
I'm just going to say this for the whole list of teams. Our intrepid producer gave me these lists of teams, and I was trying to even think of streamers, and none of these teams honestly have any players that really call out to me too much. I mean, I'm going to say that probably about every team we discuss here. I mean, the Lakers, maybe Dalton Connect. He's kind of faded away a little bit. I don't know if I would say hit the rookie wall or just this is just who he is. I'd say it's more who he is. He's going to be probably a streaky points and threes. That's all he can do. If he's not shooting it well, JJ Redick should have no issue going to other players. So makes him literally a hit or miss player. Other than that, maybe D'Angelo Russell if he's low enough rostered, but he's probably not. I know I'm still holding on to him in a couple of leagues myself, which has been not fun this season, but that's really all I got on the Lakers.
What
honestly.
about like Max Christie? Is there like any love for Max Christie?
The minutes are nice. And he's a player who I liked on August 23. I'd like him to kind of break out a little bit, but he just isn't really doing enough to be intriguing. If you're looking for a player who you feel good about getting minutes, then sure, it's Cam Reddish and Dalton Connect don't seem to be consistent enough options. But do I feel great about it, Christie? No, not really.
Yeah, if D'Lo, to me, it's like if D'Lo's out there and available, he's the obvious guy because he could reach up and have a good game. I probably would go Christie just because they've been so stingy with the minutes for Connect. It's at least you're gonna get minutes. That's a category in your league. But
yeah,
I guess we're also calling Rui Hachimura a must roster player at this point. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure what his roster percentage is. I think it's high enough just based on name value and Laker value. But he's doing enough to be relevant. Enough minutes to get boards, enough boards where he helps there. He usually gets some points. Triplers are not really his game, but I think he's doing enough with his minutes. Compared to someone like Christie, where I don't know if he's even going to get you anything in his minutes. At least Rui Hachimura should get you some points, get you some boards, and that's fine enough. You can live with that. And if it pops off even further, then you really hit gold. But I think that gives you at least lower end 12 team.
Yeah, it's funny because like at least there's usually one streamer that at least hits that threshold. They're a top 200 player, top 175 or 150 player, and you wouldn't normally want them, but because you're streaming, they're so perfect for it. This team doesn't have that. Let's look at the Thunder. What about these guys? Is it a little bit easier road to hoe here?
It's easier in the sense that I feel like it's almost more clarified than the Lakers, where you know who their good guys are. That's obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And then it's kind of a bunch of other players who could or could not do something. Cason Wallace and his steals have been great this season, but I feel like his offensive usage is so low. It's you're getting him for the steals and maybe some other stuff. Caruso, somewhat of the same deal. He's obviously been hugely impactful on the team when he does play, with just the steals and deflections, but his shot's been a little down, and just his minutes could be managed a little bit depending on the game state. Ajay Mitchell, someone in deeper leagues, maybe they like to as kind of that ball handling option, but again, I don't think he's really doing enough. Jalen Williams has made his return, I believe, in the past week, but probably not seeing enough minutes to give you anything. Again, that's probably more of a 20 team shout. So, I don't think I'm forgetting about everyone. This is kind of a bevy of good role players, but I don't know if you can. I don't know if I would trust any of them enough to stream really, or drop someone who's even in the top 150 for any of these players. Maybe
Yeah,
Casey Wallace.
Dort Wallace, and that's kind of it. I mean, there are the good thing about the Thunder is at least there are players that are good. Like in this context, like I mean Isaiah Joe, even like AJ Mitchell's not bad, down in the like 12th spot on the roster. Aaron Wiggins is pretty good basketball player. Like if given the opportunity, these guys can reach up. I would feel comfortable with Dort, Wallace. After that, the list gets thin. Boston, we're past the days of calling Peyton Pritchard a streamer, so that boat is off into the water. But like, who? Like, I think this is like the ultimate grab bag, right? Like, if your fantasy week is dependent upon a Boston Celtic player you have to pick, who is it going to be?
I feel like the way you phrase that question, if you are dependent on a Boston Celtic player, then I don't think you're winning this week anyways. But maybe Sam Hauser, depending on if other players are playing or not. I mean, Al Horford shouldn't be a streamer unless
he's struggled this year too with the back issue.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So
I almost wonder if you just keep an eye on the injury report. What's up with Kristaps Porzingis? What's up with Al Horford? Look at Neemias Queta. See if he or I'm blanking on his name from Memphis.
Xavier Tillman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Xavier Tillman. Like, I mean, you're really throwing a Hail Mary with those guys. I would think you have better options, but if you're trying to stack games in a deeper format, read very deep format for these guys. Al Horford, I guess, could be considered a streamer. I think he would be a premium streamer this week.
Yeah,
but he's going to miss one of the games that he's adding to your schedule.
Yeah, I would assume if the Celtics are probably on back-to-backs, if they have this heavy of a game load this week. So with all those centers we listed, the Celtics have shown they're plenty fine resting players and looking towards the playoffs. So you might have to look for that injury report and see if he's listed as active for the front end or back end of a back-to-back, then he probably isn't playing the other one.
Keep him in in the back of your mind, because that could end up resulting in a pretty big bonanza if he's going to be playing. But this is this streaming week is off to a raging start, as you guys can see.
I do want to add, we are being notified that apparently the Celtics have no back-to-back. So Horford, never mind, lock him in. Then I would expect him to play most, if not all, the games then.
That is an interesting development for this upcoming week. I'll have to look into that myself as I flip the schedule forward 1 week here. That is, Tuesday, Thursday, or probably Thursday, Friday, back-to-back. So Thursday, with Friday, Minnesota and Houston on the docket, it's not exactly like they, Minnesota's got Rudy Gobert, Houston's got Şengün. So I would think they would like Horford against Şengün, especially if they want to keep Kristaps Porzingis healthy. And Şengün's the kind of guy that leaves a dent in your chest at the end of the game. And then the Porzingis, the height there makes him susceptible to bull rush charges, things like that. So I kind of think Horford plays against Houston, takes the Minnesota game off. That takes away one of those low traffic days from Horford. Okay, we're working it out mid-show here. I love it. I don't think that's going to work out from a streaming perspective for Horford, but he will probably play Tuesday and then Sunday, the Thunder. I don't know if we skip ahead to the next week. Thank you guys for putting up with this, because it's all just fun and games. They are. Where'd you go, Boston? You were right there. They have that following Monday off, so he will play that Sunday. So I think that the Al Horford angle here is fairly strong. I don't think he plays on that low traffic day on Thursday, but I think Tuesday and Sunday you get a chance at Al Horford. So if you can try to fashion something of a Tuesday to Friday pickup or Friday to Sunday pickup is probably the better one there. So look at Al Horford at the end of your week. Okay. And I know it's funny because the Celtics don't care about any of this stuff. And they might just do the exact opposite of everything I just said. Okay, let's get to some of these other teams. We got the Clippers. We've got low traffic games for them on Tuesday and Thursday. Low traffic days for them Tuesday and Thursday. So Kawhi's coming back. I think you got to look on the earlier side of this equation to truly get some value here. And I think people might be bailing from certain players on the Clippers, but who do you like there from a streaming perspective?
Are we sure Kawhi's coming back? We're hopeful he comes back.
I got a burrito. I've already lost the bet, but I bet a burrito on it. High stakes over here with Doc. But yeah, I think he is. I think it feels like it soon-ish.
I'm gonna suggest that.
Are we assuming that he's not playing this week?
I feel like that's a safer assumption for this discussion.
He's not playing this upcoming week. All right. But with that in mind, who do you like?
I mean, I'll have to look at Derek Jones Jr., who I think has continued his strong play, or I don't even want to say resurgence. I feel like he has always been this sort of player, just kind of lost some years there with the going from the Bulls to the Blazers and kind of with
knee stuff.
Now I think he's in a better situations with Dallas. He obviously played a pretty pivotal role there, and I think he's doing the same with the Clippers. So I mean, he's not going to be your point streamer at all, but I think you can get some of those defensive stats, get some decent efficiency. That's more due to the volume of shots, not a comment on Jones' shooting, and then maybe some boards and some other goodies. So I like Derek Jones Jr. a lot there.
Yeah, I like Derek Jones. He feels like the safe play compared to Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn, very steal centric. If you're not needing steals, Chris Dunn's not on the board for you. Maybe if you needed assists and you didn't like Derek Jones in that capacity, I would then maybe switch that up. But what about, say, like Kevin Porter Jr.? You think this is his week? No? Shaking your head no?
For a multitude of reasons. Rockets fan, his off-court issues, and his inconsistent play. Just not a fan. I'm not going
unleash the scroll. The scroll drops to the ground and rolls down many steps.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm good on Kevin Porter Jr. I'll find other streamers.
So it's just a no, a flat out no. I love it. I don't think anybody else really. I mean, maybe Nick Batum gets in there, and in a deeper league, you might get something there. But and Bones Highland has been on the board a little bit lately, but not enough to make you feel good. So I like Derek Jones as the top streamer. That makes a lot of sense. Let's get to Milwaukee. You got a couple illnesses running through the locker room, but probably not a big deal. They're pretty much at full strength in Milwaukee. Anybody standing out to you in that squad?
Again, I feel like it's been the theme of all these streamers. It's like maybe guys, but you're not going to feel great about these guys. I don't even think these are fringe guys we're talking about. I mean, you got Gary Trent Jr. there, who maybe, I mean, he started off the season terribly, but he has been serviceable the past month, but his minutes load is a little shaky. I think that's really.
Are we just assuming Chris Middleton is rostered because he's Chris Middleton and that alone, somebody's taking a chance there?
I didn't think about that. I would assume Middleton is probably rostered just if your league has IR slots. Someone was probably stashing him or was probably had the forethought to roster him already. But if he's on your wire, then yeah, definitely take a look at him because he's been fine. He's been fine. He's coming off and he's playing 20, 25 minutes a game at least. So
finally got the shooting number figured out. He's 50% over the last 5 games. Really weird. It's like Chris Middleton's getting all of his stats he might normally get in a game, but he's just doing it in 22 minutes. Mm-hmm. And like maybe that's the trade-off is like, okay, hey, we know you can't play a lot. So when you're out there, please go out and get it done. Gary Trent, I mean, points, threes, boards, He's getting some steals lately, but yeah, it's not a lot out of Gary Trent. AJ Green's kind of the interesting one. They seem to like him a lot. If Andre
That's a good shout.
Jackson could actually have statistical success, that would be great, but he just doesn't, and sort of negates what is otherwise some, intriguing defensive talent. Let's get out of Milwaukee. Let's see if we can find a good streamer for folks out of Indy. I feel like this is maybe the team. What do you like best in Indy right now?
Yeah, on the pickups of the night article from last night, I mean, Andrew Nemhard looks like maybe he's getting that usage up, starting to hit some more shots. We saw that in the playoffs last season, not in the regular season.
Yesterday, Doc said it might be his team.
I mean, Halliburton's usage is another issue, but yeah, Nemhard, I mean, they clearly need someone to step up and take these sort of contested mid-range or tough shots. Nemhard has shown that he's at least willing to do that, which is more than some other players on that team. So yeah, Nemhard, I think, should definitely give a look and could have more longer-term appeal as well if he continues and keep this up. I think his regular season stats in terms of the points and assists and steals have been a little less than what some might think, but hey, maybe he's starting to put together a run. So that's someone I like longer term as well, actually.
I had a question from yesterday for Doc. I want to get your take on it. Between Nemhard, Obi Toppin, and Benedict Mathurin, which one of those guys can be a late round value the rest of the season?
So that was, sorry, I was dealing with a spider over here and destroying that. We got Nemhard,
Toppin, and Mathurin. Though I'm now wishing that we could get the spider on for a post-fight interview just to ask how it all went down.
Nope, I hate spiders, so I'm sorry that thing was destroyed. Not happening.
Nemhard, Toppin, and Mathurin is you get the spider out of that mind.
I would probably go Nemhard there just because I think the stat set's more appealing to more teams. We got the steals, a little more variable, but I think you got better steals there. You got definitely the assist load capability. Mathurin has not improved in that department as well, in that the passing department. So you just got I think, a more reliable bevy of stats there and a better floor. Where Toppin, yeah, his shot's been great the past month, but he's a little more streaky, and you're really just getting some points, boards, and a few triples. And Mathurin has been kind of trailing down since his hot start, and I think he's mainly just a points and triples option, which isn't the most appealing to me. So I think Nemhard, just based on those assists and steals and giving you those additional stats, has a lot more long-term appeal to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, Nemhard's percentages lately are a little rich. So he's making his move, and it just feels like I don't know, I want to say he has the team. It's like his team, but it feels like he's got a chunk of the team. And, it's maybe almost like a democracy. What's the one where everybody's equal? I guess it's democracy. But
meritocracy?
Meritocracy. What is it? Somebody chime in at some point. Let me know my ocracies. It's the one where it's just like very equal. But at any rate, it feels like Halliburton, Turner, Siakam, Nemhard, McConnell even, but they like share equal leadership of this team, and nobody's like the guy. And so everybody's like, well, why did Tyrese Halliburton score 4 points and, have 8 assists this game? Well, it's like they just went at somewhere else. And especially if there's a matchup where you need more physical players like Mathurin to be able to break them down, or Nemhard's just strong, with the ball. Like Tyrese can get blanketed pretty quick with some athletic defenders. So it's a weird dynamic, and I'll figure out which ocracy they are at some point in time. Any other streamers of note there?
I would say Jarris Walker. Toppin did suffer an ankle injury, probably an ankle sprain last night being Thursday night. We don't have, I believe, any further updates on that, but I would expect at least misses the next few games. Jarris Walker has been a little disappointing in terms of not anything impressive on the defensive side, not really adding much on the offensive side, but he might have some more run rate now. He might have to play that backup 4, and maybe he gives you enough there that I'm hopeful for it, but it's probably more optimistic than realistic. But maybe someone to keep an eye on if he does show out in the next game. Producer
Andre Lamouche points out that Doc didn't say that he was acting as if it was his team. He was acting, not that it was his team, but he was acting as if it was his team. Andre's trying to give birthday gifts to Doc lately. He's been trying to dole him out burritos and give him all the extra birth in the world. Isocracy? No. Doritos? No. Burritos is the bet. We've been betting a lot of burritos on the show, folks. I haven't seen a burrito. These people aren't paying up. All right. Let's keep it moving here. We got Minnesota. Where are you going with a streamer recommendation here? Because I feel like there's at least one name that will perk up my ears, but where are you going with it?
It's interesting you say one name. I'm trying now to think of the name because I kind of want to go to D, none of the above. I mean, I don't have rostership percentages in front of me. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo has been pretty lackluster, but I feel like people are still holding on to him. Naz Reid is definitely going to be. Naz Reid's definitely going to be, I think, too highly rostered to be considered a streamer. J.D. Daniels maybe still rostered based on name value. He hasn't done anything to prove that he should be.
Interesting note on yesterday's
Alexander
show.
Walker, but I think he's definitely streamer level in terms of his rostership and what he's doing, but I mean, if you want to try to spike a good game from him, sure, go for it.
On yesterday's show, they had for the week prior nobody inside the top 100, not even Anthony Edwards. Like they are struggling, and they won on Christmas, which is just hilarious. I kind of think Nikhil, by the definition of streamer, Nikhil Alexander Walker is the guy, but I don't trust him. I'm waiting for the days when Josh, is it Minot or Minot? I don't know.
Josh Minot.
Minot.
But I remember seeing it was the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecini and one of his old hosts, I forgot his name, but joked that if it was Josh Minot, like French pronouncing, he would have been a top 10 draft pick, which just makes me laugh on the number. I was like, that's probably true.
I wonder if
it's Minot.
Yeah, no. We had what's his name? I can't remember his name. We had him on the pod over the summer. Andre will get it to me. They're great. I love them. Yeah, Minot or Minot, I think, and Leonard Miller. It's like time, man. Just send Julius Packett and let's see these young kids play. Like
that would be news to Dynasty managers' ears.
Oh yeah. I mean, and Minot had a bunch of preseason games that were good. It was on, and those two, they're just not getting any run, and they're not going to get any run until Julius Randle's gone, and maybe even more things happen. Bryce Simon was the name, and
yes, maybe Bryce Simon.
Bryce Simon. I know they got a couple guys that go on that pod and do it. It's a great group of guys over there. All right, so that's it for our streamer action. Let's get into some of the Dynasty stuff. But hey, guys, if you're enjoying the show, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a thumbs up on the video. If you're watching or listening, I should say, on the podcast feed, you guys would be doing us a huge solid if you guys gave us a 5-star review. Okay, let's get into this Dynasty check-in here. So we got some risers and we got some fallers. I'm just going to kind of go around and just see where this takes us. We got risers here. Tyler Hero, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, and Cat. Who would you like to go first on? Is any of those names standing out to you?
Well, let's discuss Tyler Hero first. That's the first one you said.
Okay, let's do it. What's up with Tyler Hero in a nutshell right now?
I mean, if you just look at the surface level stats, it seems like he's just shooting better and just making more shots. And if you listen to the pun intended pod, I always am dubious of players who just hit more shots middle of their career kind of randomly. So it's what's going on here. And I'm definitely not the only person to bring this up. This has been a pretty, I think, much talked about subject among Heat fans. But really, Hero has transformed his shot chart. You know, in the past, he's taken a lot of these mid-rangers, and long twos, which I don't know if you heard, threes are better than twos, typically.
Never. Nobody talks about that.
No, definitely not in the NBA discourse nowadays, which is it's a silly argument anyways. But he's transformed a lot of these long twos to threes. And so if you take more threes, you're going to make more threes. And the percentages by these zones haven't really changed much for him. They're in line with his career norms. He is taking more threes, but hitting them at a similar rate from his career averages, taking a little bit more shots at the rim, and now hitting them he's hitting them at his career averages. Last year was actually a bit of a dip of his field goal percentage at the rim. This year he's back to his career norms, about 60-61%. So really, he's just hitting the shots as he typically does, and it's just a better, healthier shot diet. So you're seeing better points and more threes on the same number of shots, which is actually interesting too. Normally, when you see a spike in points of about 4, you would think there's more usage, but he's taking the same volume of shots. So it's pretty interesting. I don't think any of these percentages are really unsustainable. I think they're actually pretty in line with what we've seen from him in the past. He's having a better shot diet, and I think this is actually pretty sustainable from him. So he's that's going to move you up a little bit
What's
if I
his
think you're doing
2-point
better.
number looking like? Do you happen to know that?
His 2-point. Oh, I do not have
Because
that.
I think this is a really good topic. I mean, Dynasty, like this is a Dynasty topic for sure. Like you're trying to figure out, is this Tyler Hero's coming out party this season? Is he that dude? And I mean, especially with the Jimmy Butler stuff going on, it feels like they're more than willing to kind of let Jimmy Butler, whether it's this year or next, go play for another team. And then what do you do if you're Miami? Is Tyler Hero the man? Can he be that guy, or do you is he a placeholder number one for the real number one to come in? But the fact that he's even having this season puts at least that on the table as a discussion point. And pulling up the 2-point numbers here, give me 1 second. He is hitting 55.3% of those 2-pointers, and it's on a lower volume than last year. So he's got 9.6 attempts from 2 last year at 47.8%, which was down from the prior season. It looked like he had taken a higher volume of 2-point shots last year and saw his number go down, which is pretty typical. But this year he's taking way less 2s overall. And is this just the case that these are better 2s because he's extended out to the 3-point line, and that part of the shot diet is now just beyond the arc? And
Yep, that's basically it. In an upcoming article, actually, I'll go a little more in depth on Tyler Hero, but I have this nice little shot chart heat map images from Cleaning Glass, and I haven't highlighted. You can see 23-24. There's some mid-range bubbles. 24-25. That mid-range section.
They just move right out.
Yeah, it's just there's no yellow or orange there at all, pretty much.
That is beautiful analysis. I love that. And basically, so what's your recommendation to folks in a Dynasty setting, like what to do, what to make of this new Tyler Hero?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to dovetail this with redraft. I know in redraft, some people were saying sell high, is it sustainable? And I'm just like, no, I think it's actually, I mean, yeah, maybe the 3-point percentage comes down from like 41, 42% to the high 30s. You're not going to really see that too much on a weekly basis, on a night-to-night basis. I mean, that's...
maybe they bring back a player in a trade that complicates his life or something,
Yeah, but even then, I think Hero, in my eyes, Hero has been the Heat's best player this season. Like the news of that, they want to explore getting Beal. I think that was just rumor mongering going about. That doesn't make sense to me. I think Hero is elevated a little bit above just your off-ball scorer type to be that reliable. I mean, he had a game-winning shot last Thursday. That was so. I mean, he's kind of their go-to guy right now, and I think he's shown that this season. And
I want to move to the faller. So that was great analysis. Thank you very much for that. I want to move to the faller side of the board. We're going to kind of just like almost like draft pick style for however much time we've got. Jump around and talk about these guys. This group of names has got some nice names here. Jalen Duren, Jonathan Kuminga, D'Angelo Russell, Keegan Murray. Everybody's going to think I want to talk about Keegan Murray, but I don't. I want to talk about Jalen Duren. Last year, I was like, I saw what I saw. I put him high in the B150. Comes out just like a freaking rocket. And I'm just, doing victory laps all over the place. And then he gets hurt. And it's like the big thud happens. And this year, my concerns about him were the ankles and his size. And so he started off iffy, and then he kind of had a little surge, but then like I don't know, it's been bad, right? Like top 200 kind of value this season. What do we see here for the long term? I think this guy, I mean, before I get off my soapbox real quick, he's what, 20 years old right now? He
21 or 22, a little older, but
a little older now. Okay.
third season.
He is very young, and he profiles as a guy that's almost like a physical anomaly. Where is he on? Okay, so yeah, give me your analysis on Jalen Duren here.
It's interesting because coming into the season, the main knock on him was that he was not a good, typical defensive center. His field goal percentage defended at the rim was pretty high and not really tenable for a starting center who doesn't give you that spacing. So that was kind of, I thought, the main question mark for him was how would that defending at the rim look? I thought it'd be a little better under JB Bickerstaff, but it's actually been a lot better. It's actually his field goal percentage defended at the rim per NBA.com is actually pretty favorable to centers like Evan Mobley, Derek Lively, and Walker Kessler. So he's actually kind of in that like top 10 in terms of what I would say from the amount of shots he contests at the rim and what he's allowing on those shots. So that's the good news. And he's also blocking more shots. That is all good. But the negatives is that still you see him have too many mental lapses on defense where he's not in the right position. And his foul rate is pretty troubling. His fouls per 100 possessions have actually increased every season. He's sitting right now over 6 fouls per 100 possessions, which is going to get you benched more often than not if you're just giving up these silly, cheap fouls. And then when you stack on a turnover rate of 24% per Basketball Reference, which is absurdly high, that's like bottom 10 players in the league.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, especially for a coach like JB Bickerstaff, where you want your center to be kind of the stout, reliable types, you're not getting that from Duren. That's why his minutes per game are sitting below about 25 minutes a game. And without the minutes, you're not going to be able to score as much. You're not going to be able to rebound as much. You're not going to be able to block as much. Your rate stats can look great in those departments, but the other component of that equation is minutes, and that's kind of why his production's down overall.
Do you see a future for him to improve the stat set issues that are kind of the things that you've mentioned, but like, I mean, free throws, he had a great free throw year last year. So I kind of look at that. That's probably a dip. That's a little bit of a buy low moment in this micro window here. 1.2 blocks is decentish, but like, I mean, he's not giving you any threes at all. So that's that going into this discussion. But like, where can he get into the top 75, like with his stat set as is right now? How can he do that?
With his stat set being more, he's not going to give you threes. He might give you a little passing, but that's been a little on the
that was a selling point heading into last year.
It was
not there anymore.
Yeah, with that turnover rate, you're not going to get as many assists if you're just coughing the ball up or making poor, inaccurate passes time and time again. It's really the minutes now. I mean, right now he profiles as a player who can give you those strong boards, some blocks, and some field goal percentage help if he shoots enough shots, but you got to see enough minutes for that. So I think that's really his main barrier to that top 75, 100 is getting the minutes and then being kind of your classic big man fantasy producer.
If he can get good from the foul line and keep the blocks at like 1.4 instead of 1.2, and the minutes would help with that. And then keep the rebounds high, obviously, and then get more involved on offense. But I think all of that almost plays second fiddle to. I just would like to see that guy get as light as humanly possible. Like I mean, he's got all the muscle in the world. Somehow he keeps the mobility. I mean, to your point about field goal defense at the rim, he got called for a foul on this play, but against the Kings earlier this week, he raced over and tried to block. And not block the shot, but he tried to block Keegan Murray, just his route to the basket, and it was a very mobile move. He ran over it, he jumped straight up, and he had just a little bit of lack of verticality to get the foul called on him. But like, there's a player here somewhere, and I guess that's leading me to my question here to wrap it up on Jalen Duren is, what are you recommending for folks? Is this a buy while the going is good, buy low, so to speak, or is it like maybe there's problems here?
I think the answer is yes to both of those. I think it's going to depend on if the Pistons give him another season or not. I think we've already seen this season that they're more than willing to turn to Isaiah Stewart in some situations, in some games. I think has had some of his own issues, but I think has been
because they
more reliable. Yeah, and more reliable in terms of not fouling, not having these silly moments, or not having these turnover issues. He's a more reliable center. And yeah, if they're trying to win, you're probably going to turn to Stewart rather than Duran. Now, if Duran can improve those issues over the second half of the season, then maybe they don't feel a need to upgrade next season. But that would be my concern, is that Jalen Duran will be heading into his fourth season, last season of the rookie contract. I very much doubt an extension will take place unless some substantial improvements happen. And do the Pistons and try to get a year early on improving that center spot, and then basically Duran becomes just a backup more. That there's a wide range of outcomes here, so that's going to come down to, I think, to you as a manager's risk profile.
Yeah, yep. That's exactly right. Okay, hey guys, before we get to these other players here, and before we move into that discussion, I want to stop and let you guys know what the vision is here at Sports Ethos, which is we're going to keep adding value for our subscribers, also our listeners and our followers through our news feeds, our tools, and our shows. And we want to keep creating opportunities to employ more people in the industry. So if you want to support us, it's easy. Visit sportsethos.com, check us out, consider subscribing. Our belief that a value-based offering, which actually generates revenue, is the way for this industry to get back on track ever since the social algorithm stuff kind of turned the sports world upside down. And the promise that we can make is that you guys will have the best inside edge on winning a championship. And we know we can make that promise because of the amount of work we produce this content and how much effort goes into that and all the experience that goes into our products. That part's the easy part on our end. Anyway, check it all out at sportsethos.com and also download the free Sports Ethos app, which is amazing, especially if you want to get away from all of that social media noise. It's just there in the app. You don't have to do anything. It's just sitting right there for you. So anyway, off my soapbox, let's go to the risers again. I'm going to let you pick. We could go Barrett, Grady Dick, or Cat. Who do you like to talk about the most?
Ooh. Let's say in Toronto. Maybe we can let's start with
both the Torontons.
We can do both too.
Yeah, we could do that. Just don't tell Andre. He'll be okay. It's not like he's listening right now. But yeah, I know RJ Barrett. It's been all Barrett the entire time in Toronto. It's been hilarious and good, great. Sometimes even I kind of root for RJ Barrett. I don't know why. I just do. And he's got so much usage and so much just fingerprint all over the game. And is there a universe where, not in a punting context, but just even overall fantasy profile, not accounting for punting, that he can keep getting better and better and maybe one day be a top 75 guy absent the punting?
I'm probably not there absent the punting, but that doesn't mean that he can't provide a lot of strengths and categories. And I think that's where I'm going to go with this, is that Barrett previously was a player who gave you strong points, and then it was kind of, well, what else are you really helping to offset your weaknesses? But now I'll leave a lot of the data into the article, because I'll write about Barrett in detail there. And I talked about him relatively recently on the Pun Intended pod. But essentially, his assist game looks very legit. And those have been, they're up to, I believe, a little over 6 per game. And it looks very real to me. He's making a good variety of passes. He's honestly probably playing with the most spacing he's had in his career, going back to New York and going back to Duke as well, where he played with Zion Williamson and wasn't really getting that much spacing for him there. So not even that Toronto's a good spacing team, but they're probably better than what he's had in his career. And so I just think the passing development is very real, and he can be a good value add in that category in dynasty leagues, which are normally a good amount deeper than redraft leagues. And so that gives me a lot more faith that he can help in more categories than where he hurts. And he can at least, you can really start building not a team around him in mind, but he can be a part of your build in a stronger way than he was previously.
Yeah, I'm sure your article goes way into more depth than this, but I just took a quick glance at his assist percentage, and it is through the roof. Oh my God. And Emmanuel quickly being gone is some of that, but it's funny. There's some pure pass first players that can crank up the assist percentage, but you got to be good to pull off a high assist percentage if you're shooting as much as him. And you don't get the assist because, it's all super easy. You got to actually convert. The player you're passing to has to convert. You have to be a good playmaker to get this kind of an assist percentage. That's great. So what would you say to folks that are looking into either buying or selling RJ Barrett. Would you say this is a buy moment, that he's, finally it's clicking and he's about to move forward with a greater head of steam in his career? He's 24 years old. He's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
young ball player.
yeah, and I did mention that too. It's kind of surprised me. Some of the players. Let me see if I have some of the
I mean, he
players.
played with Julius Randle, and I know that you guys are
Mhm.
probably tired of me railing on Julius Randle, but that matters. Like they were like twins out there for the longest time in New York, and now he's off in another place where it's complimentary.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that he's played with two power forwards and Julius Randle and Zion Williamson going back to his Duke days that kind of occupy the same space that he does. But
He's like, I don't know what to do with all this space. I guess I'll
yeah,
shoot.
like that meme where I can't hold all these lemons, I can't hold all this space. But no, to answer the question, Barrett's probably just a hold for me. I think he's probably
Still not
too
convinced
well. I think he's probably too rich to buy. Probably at a
because of this current stage. Like
yes,
maybe wait
yeah.
until quickly comes back and
Yeah, but
that.
I wouldn't want to sell either. I think just because I think this is real, and yeah, if he's around 100 to 120 range,
So he's
and then
towing the
depending on your
line.
build, that's good.
Yeah. What about Grady Dick? Started
Dick,
off great, kind of faded a little bit. Feels like he's settled in a little bit now in a
yeah, Dick,
redraft late round posture.
yeah, Dick was someone I was pretty high on in the draft. I think on my non-fantasy big board because I kind of do both a fantasy big board and a non-fantasy big board. No, he was actually I think sixth in the 20. That'd be the 23 draft for me. And I kept him kind of in the 100 to 150 range for me. Where I think most analysts moved him down to the 150 to 200 range. And now he's moved up a little bit more for me. And I think the biggest thing is that he's I think solidified himself as a pretty solid potential future starter, or if he's not already one, just with the movement shooting and bringing that volume of shots, and then being able to utilize the threat of his shot to open up the game a little bit more. He's not like a Malik Beasley who will just kind of gun from deep. He will take those pump fakes or he will drive into the paint if that is open to him, which I think adds a lot more variability to other movement shooter types that we've seen come through the league. So I love the volume of his shots. I love how he can do that a bit more. And now the next step for him, though, is can he give you more than just points and threes and maybe some free throw help? Can he improve his defensive rebounding? Can he maybe add some passing? Can he add some steals? I think he has the energy and the drive to add one of those three to at least augment the rest of his fantasy game. So I still like him, like Dick to rise
How,
further. But
how, how tall is he?
I believe he's like 6'7" without shoes. So I mean,
Okay.
he has. It's not like he's one of these smaller guards. I would classify him as a wing for that
He
reason
looks
because he
really
has so.
tall out there. Like, I mean, my first guess there was 6'10", but maybe that's just he shoots with a high release point. I don't know. 6'8" probably with shoes.
Yeah, that feels
Does
about 6'8"
Andre?
with shoes feels about right.
By the way,
So it's
Andre's throwing some heaters in the private chat. Just gonna let you guys know if those make the light of day in this show, that'll be interesting. So what's you think this is a buy low moment maybe for Grady Dick?
I don't know buy low. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know if low is the right term there, but like
yeah,
buy before he blows
like
up.
I kind of hate some of these buy low questions just because it's always relative buy and relative low or
Sure,
buy
sure.
relative buy relative sells. We talked about that some time ago, but I mean, I think I kind of like talking about what the player gives you and then seeing if that aligns with whoever rosters him. But I mean, I think he's proven himself that he will be a good rotation shooter. It's just can his game go further from there? I am
Got it.
confident in it, but I've also will admit I have been high on Dick since the rookie draft that he came out in. So
Good context all over the place there. All right. Let's go to one more faller and then we'll get to some questions here. I think the questions are good enough to kick a couple of these guys to the curb here. All right. Your choice. I'm not going to force you to talk about Keegan Murray. You don't have to talk about Keegan Murray. Kuminga, D'Lo, or Keegan Murray in your fallers list.
actually, I kind of do want to talk about Keegan Murray because
Yeah, by
would
all
like maybe
means.
some of your insights on him.
Mm.
Some of my concerns with him is that his rookie season came out, shot the ball extremely well, good volume, good percentages, And it's like, okay, cool. He's just going to be a very good shooter. And the past 2 seasons has not really been that, actually. Like, if you were to erase his rookie season, it'd be a little sketchier of an outlook. And granted, the volume of threes from his rookie season compared to his past 2 seasons, yeah, he's still in line. I think his career average is still 37% shooter. That's still healthy, but it's not then maybe the extremely high levels. And then his defensive stats haven't improved too much. The rebounding has, which is good, but we haven't seen him expand his self-created game too much, nor as I think he had the chance to, especially with DeMar DeRozan in the fold this year. But I just don't know if there's more to his game, or a lot more to this game than just being this nice rotation, not rotation, nice starting level
Being like
forward. You can give you some shooting, give you some size. Do you think there's more to his game than that? And there's maybe is still a ceiling left, or is this maybe what we got?
It's a fair question. It's a fair question that would have gotten probably, not you or me or anybody in particular, but if you were saying, is Keegan Murray on the downswing, or is he not, a hype guy? Most people called him a hype guy because there was the Kings doing better. And I mean, this part of the answer to your question, I think, is that they have asked him to do so much defensively. It is crazy. Like, and it's even crazier when you think in the context of, like, sometimes they'll have like Keon sitting there and he can, or even like a DeMar DeRozan, who's not a good defender, but he profiles against a guard a lot better. And they'll throw Keegan out there. And Keegan's out there running around chasing, 6'4", 6'5" around screens. And he's like the point of attack at perimeter defense, maybe a good, third of the game, if not half of the game. And so I think that's taken him out of position for a lot of the defensive stats that he would normally get if he was playing 4 or 5 defensively. I mean, he covers everybody. He's covering LeBron. He's covering Anthony Davis. He's then turning around, like I said, covering the littles. And so that's got to be it. I mean, the mileage stat on him running, I think he's in the lead for miles run in the NBA. It's so that's one aspect of this. The other aspect that's really interesting when you look at the 3-point percentage from last season of 35.8, and this year 29.5, that's really down. Is it the defensive responsibilities? Is it the place within the offense? Domantas Sabonis runs a really clean offense that gets everybody a lot of good looks. But last year, De'Aaron Fox kind of took took the ball and just ran with it, and that takes a little bit of the flow out of the stuff that makes Keegan good, which is he's wide open because 3 different actions resulted in Keegan getting the ball, and then he was a knockdown shooter, and then he's also got a good kind of decision making profile in those secondary playmaking moments. So like that was really good for him, but when it got stickier and he's just like not getting those flow shots and he's got to generate it on his own, that's where the growth hasn't occurred, is the on his own part of this. He's been struggling to get shots off in the current squad that's got DeMar that's just really killing the flow. So he's trying to get shots up, frankly, just like he's getting the directive from coach, you got to get like X amount of shots up. I don't care how you get them. So create them on your own if you have to. And it's been ugly. One last thing I'll throw out there in part of the analysis is I think he did the thing where a lot of NBA players, Grayson Allen, who I talk about all the time, did this. They get big and bulky. And I do wonder if the basketball has sort of lost, he's lost the feel of it with having more muscle. And I wonder if anybody out there has done a project on that where they look at, in any quantifiable way, muscle or poundage in relation to shooting. And if the gaining of muscle actually it causes you to lose touch. And because there's wide open threes right now, he's not hitting them. Like they're going in and out. It's the funniest thing in the world because the crowd is turning on him. But anyway, that's my long drawn out analysis of Keegan Murray. I still think it's a buy low moment for him in general. And just against the Pistons the other night, he had the whole package going there for about a quarter. And you're like, okay, so it's still there. situation is such a mess in Sacramento. So I think that's opportunity for him. But where do you stand on all of this?
I think that was all good context. So I'll just summarize it with this is that I think if we are asking more questions on his ceiling, I think that tells us enough. And there's enough seeds of doubt that are growing there that I think that that's what caused me to push him down at least. That there's enough questions being asked, enough like, well, are we sure about this than before? And it's, if I'm asking those questions or even asking those, then that tells me that I should probably push him down a little bit just based on maybe not as sure about the ceiling.
Yeah, that's not the only king
I
you
don't
push
think it's
down. That's
still
not the
there,
only king you
but
push down the list, sir. You pushed Keon Ellis down the list. I'm told by producer Andre Lamouche.
did I push him? Did I push him down the list, or is just not as high?
No, I don't know what you did with my guy Keon Ellis, but I'm hurt and I'm offended, and I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna go over here and cry in the corner.
Well, I can tell you he did rise up. So
yeah, all right. And I'll leave it at that. I think it's fine that anybody's fading, and you're not fading him, but like anybody in general, like I'd be watching this mess and be like, I don't know if Keon Ellis is worth all that. I think he's amazing. I think he's got a lot of growth to go, but I won't besmirch anybody from watching that mess and saying, I don't want to deal with that. Here's a question that I think is really cool and interesting. I don't know how we got this question, but why is Nikola Topic the best buy low target for a team in rebuild in a dynasty league? Why is he the best? Is that an assertion that you've made, or is that a question from somebody?
I think that is a question for someone, but also Andre speaking to my draft scouting and loving Nikola Topic in the draft. Again, is he the best buy low target for a team in a rebuild? I think any team that drafted Topic, you would have known that he's probably missing most of the season, if not all, probably all. And you drafted that team that drafted him, selected him with that in mind, and is probably planning on holding him unless they get blown away. So I don't think there's any reasonable buy here. But yeah, I mean, if you're rebuilding, I think he's a great buy and a good target to hold just because we know the Thunder have no issues playing rookies if they feel like they are ready for the moment. I mean, Ajay Mitchell, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I think a clear example, they're asking him with some pretty key duties on just even handling the ball on the second units, which, I mean, I think he's been fine there. But the point being is that if Topic shows that he can do that, the Thunder are going to give him the chance. They're not going to shy away from playing him. So in that regard, in terms of, oh, maybe there's not enough usage for him on a winning team, I don't think that's a question. I thought he was rated out as a really interesting playmaker, a really good rim driver and usage guy, which is great for any fantasy format. If you can get usage and get some assists, get some points, have a decent efficiency from the field, that's always going to be an intriguing player. So I think he's a very interesting target. It's just finding the right match depending on what roster he's on. If he's already on a rebuilding roster or a tanking team, I doubt
it's really hard to pull him. Yeah.
Yeah. But if he's on if a team selected him as a contender and maybe they need some win now juice and you have that, then I think there could be a trade there.
Win now juice. I want some of that. Okay, guys, I could talk to Mark all day, and you guys just get into this rankings list. Check out the blurb part of the rankings list. That's where the good stuff is, and you can do all of that on sportsethos.com. We're gonna wrap things up here. So
just to add on that blurb portion.
Go for it.
Because when I was reading through your B150 update, like the blurbs are the most important. I may be speaking for you here, but I know for myself, this is why I do my rankings in tiers, because the difference between like 10 spots really isn't that drastic. But you can see those blurbs and then get an idea of what I'm actually thinking about the player. See if you align with that thinking, and you can almost have that internal debate with yourself. Or you can even ask me in our premium Discord, hey, I saw you blurb this about this player. What? I agree with that or I don't disagree with that. Thinking differently. Someone earlier challenged me on my thoughts on Zachary Risache. We had a bit of a conversation back and forth on him. And I love having those conversations. So those blurbs are going to be where the juice is at, maybe even more so than the actual exact ranking placement. So yeah, definitely check those out.
That is awesome. And definitely go to the Discord. Like we talk about it all the time. So sometimes I feel like I talk about it too much, but the Discord is where it's at. Check that out in the show notes. Check out the rankings, check out the subscription to the NBA Fantasy Pass so you can get all of this good stuff. And check out our free app. That's the other thing I want you guys to check out. It is awesome and it gets you out of the social media hullabaloo. So again, thank you to everybody. Please keep sending us your feedback. Send us questions in the Discord. Do the whole thing. This is about you guys, folks. We want to build this out for you guys. So we want to know what you guys would like to see around here. And that's going to do it for us on Fantasy NBA Today, the weekend edition presented by Bet Online. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be well.